tonight's Township of Howell Planning Board meeting, February 3rd, 2022. Second one of the week. Eileen, opening statement, please.
I hereby declare this meeting of the Howell Township Planning Board to be open, adequate notice having been given pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Act in the following manner. First, on January 7th, 2022, a copy of said notice was mailed to the Asbury Park Press and the Tri-Town News. Second, on January 7th, 2022, a copy of said notice was hand-delivered to the clerk of the Township of Howell. Third, on January 7th, 2022, said notice was posted in the office of the Planning Board and on the bulletin board in the Howell Township Municipal Building, 4567 Route 9, Howell Township, New Jersey. Members of the public will have a chance to ask questions and comment on applications once the chairman opens the hearing up to the members of the public. If you wish to ask questions or comment on an application, you will need to use the raise your hand feature, and we will bring you into the meeting one at a time. You will need to have audio and video capability. You will be sworn in, and you will need to provide your name and address. For anyone calling in, you can press *9 to raise or lower your hand and *6 to mute or unmute yourself. This meeting is being videotaped for possible future broadcast on Howell Township TV 77. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey,
Roll call, please.
Mr. Chairman, just before we move on, I think we do have one new member who needs to be sworn in, and we should do that before we take attendance.
We actually have two, Ron.
Okay.
Robert Spanville is alternate 1 and Megan Talenti is alternate 2. And I
Okay.
apologize if I didn't say your names correctly.
So if you could just both raise your right hand and just repeat after me.
You need to
I
unmute first. Both of you are muted.
Okay, we ready?
No, 1 minute. Okay, now you are.
Okay. I state your name,
I, Robert Spanville,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly
that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly
perform all the duties of the office of Planning Board
perform all the duties of the office of Planning Board
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
and that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and if you so wish, you can say, so help me God.
so help me God.
Okay, congratulations to both of you.
Thank you.
Welcome, guys.
Board.
Okay, so you can go ahead and take attendance now.
Thank you. Mr. Bavai,
Here.
Mr. Cristiano,
Here.
Mr. Dorado's absent, Mr. Greenfield,
Here.
Mr. Nicastro's excused, Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Here.
Mr. Seaman,
Here.
Mr. Spanville,
Here.
Ms. Talenti,
Here.
Chairman Tannenhouse is absent, and Chairman Husser.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. At this time, would everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States? I pledge allegiance
To the
To the
flag
flag.
to the United States of
United
America
States of America.
and to the republic
For
for which it stands, one
One
nation,
nation.
under God,
Under God.
indivisible,
Indivisible.
with
with
liberty.
liberty and justice for all.
For all.
Thank you. On to approval of minutes. The first is for the regular meeting dated October 21st, 2021. Voters are Mr. Bavai, Mr. Cristiano, Mr. Seaman. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bavai,
Yes.
Mr. Cristiano,
Yes.
Mr. Seaman.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, approval minutes for regular meeting dated November 1st, 2021. Eligible voters, Mr. Bavai, Mr. Cristiano, myself, and Mr. Seaman. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve. I'll second.
Thank you.
Mr. Bavai,
Yes.
Mr. Cristiano,
Yes.
Mr. Seaman,
Yes.
Chairman Husser.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
The next is for the regular meeting, December 16th, 2021. Eligible voters, Mr. Cristiano, myself, and Mr. Seaman. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Need a second.
Second.
Thank you.
Mr. Cristiano,
Yes.
Mr. Seaman,
Yes.
Chairman Husser.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
The next is for the reorganization and regular meeting dated January 6th, 2022. Eligible voters, Mr. Bavai, Mr. Cristiano, myself, Mr. Greenfield, Councilwoman O'Donnell, and Mr. Seaman. Do I have a motion?
Motion
So
to
moved.
approve reorg and regular?
Second.
Thank you.
Mr. Bavai,
Yes.
Mr. Cristiano,
Yes.
Mr. Greenfield,
Yes. Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Mr. Seaman,
Yes.
and Chairman Husser.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
And the last approval is for the regular meeting dated January 20th, 2022. Eligible voters, Mr. Bavai, Mr. Cristiano, myself, Mr. Greenfield, Councilwoman O'Donnell, and Mr. Seaman. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you.
Mr. Bavai,
Yes.
Mr. Cristiano,
Yes.
Mr. Greenfield,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Mr. Seaman,
Yes.
and Chairman Husser.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Eileen, do we have any vouchers?
No vouchers.
Do we have any correspondence?
I have correspondence from Michael Herbert. He is the attorney for Wadsworth Development, case SD 2998. He wants to be carried to the 17th of February. He wants to make sure all the engineering issues are resolved prior to the meeting. He understands it is a full agenda right now, but he wants to take a chance. He's also granted an extension of time through March 17th.
Okay, so what date are we putting him on?
The
February
17th.
17th.
February 17th. All right, so the application of Wadsworth Development LLC, case number SD-2998, be carried to the board's February 17th, 2022 meeting. That meeting begins at 7 o'clock. It is a virtual meeting. The instructions on how to access the meeting will be available on the township's website at least 10 days in advance. All documents in support of the application are on file with the planning department and are available on the township's website for inspection, and you can also print them out. Again, the meeting will be February 17th, 2022, beginning at 7 o'clock, virtual meeting, no further notice to property owners.
Thank you.
Thank
And that's all the
Thank you.
correspondence I have.
Eileen, I see no resolutions. I thought my secretary had sent out Par Golf on Friday. You didn't receive that?
Yes, we did, and I sent out an updated agenda the other day. So Park Golf
Oh,
is on the
okay.
agenda.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, thanks.
Good segue into resolutions, excuse me. It's for case number SP-1009A3 for Par Golf LLC. Resolution granting amended preliminary and final major site plan approval with ancillary variance relief. Eligible voters, Mr. Bavai, Mr. Cristiano, myself, Mr. Greenfield, Councilwoman O'Donnell, and Mr. Seaman. And do I have a motion to memorialize?
Yes. I'll make a
Second?
motion.
Second.
Mr. Bavai,
Yes.
Mr. Cristiano,
Yes.
Mr. Greenfield,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
and Mr. Seaman,
Yes.
and Chairman Husser.
Yes.
Motion carries, resolutions memorialized.
Thank you. Any submission waivers?
No submission waivers.
Okay, let's get into it. The only application tonight is for case number SD-3000, John Kelly, seeking minor subdivision with ancillary variance relief.
And that's Mr. Pape's case. I just brought him into the hearing.
Second time this week, Mr. Pape, lucky you.
I consider myself to be very fortunate to represent so many people of your community for so many years. And Mrs. Urbano, Bruce Jacobs is the professional engineer. Is he in the wings?
He is. I shall bring him in for you.
Thank you. And your applicant are the Kellys. I don't know
Okay.
that they need to come in, but if I may, Mr. Chair, board members, board professionals, all, good evening. Kenneth Pape of the firm of Heilburn Pape. This evening, I have the privilege and the responsibility of representing Mr. and Mrs. John Kelly. This is a request for a 3-lot minor subdivision with 2 bulk variances. The application, the jurisdiction of this application, I believe, was established on January 6th and carried to this evening without
Correct.
renotice. Is that correct, Mrs. Urbano?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Mr. Chair, if I may, I have a brief opening statement to share with the boards, and then Mr. Jacobs, who is both a professional engineer and a professional planner, will be sworn, will share his credentials, and we'll go right into the substantive presentation.
Please.
Thank you. This is a property that before dedication, and there's some dedication for road widening that is required. Before dedication, it's slightly over 10 acres in size. And on the property is a single-family residence where the Kellys have lived since 1981. Property also has a kennel on it. The kennel was there when the Kellys bought the property. It was an existing commercial kennel. And the Kellys have operated a kennel on the property all of those years. Those days have come to a conclusion. You'll hear that the Kellys are closing the kennel. They're removing the kennel buildings and improvements. They intend to maintain their residence in the home on the property. That home is a fine home, and the subdivision is designed around it. It's not proposed to be removed. The property has just under 600 feet of frontage, and the proposal is for a 3-lot subdivision with one of the lots being a flag lot. The flag lot has 100 feet of frontage on West Farm Road. It's generally 50 feet in width through the flag, and then it opens up into a very large lot with a large clearing towards the front. That lot requires a variance. Flag lots, although this is a 2-acre zone, a flag lot is to be 6 acres. And that lot after dedication will be 5.24 acres. We'll ask this board for that bulk variance. And the second bulk variance is associated with a lot that is designed around the Kelly's residence. And that lot is not rectangular. The property is not the overall property is not a rectangle. The sides actually start to come closer towards each other. And although you'll hear from Mr. Jacobs that the first 200 feet of the property measured from West Farm Road, the first 200 feet where the residence is more than 200 feet wide. As it tapers towards the rear, it becomes less, so that the average width is not 200 feet. I think it's about 180 feet. And bulk variance relief for that average width of that lot is required. It's my understanding, reviewing the plans, reviewing the reports, and working with Mr. Jacobs, that this 3-lot subdivision can be accomplished with those 2, hopefully you'll find to be minor variances. With that as the opening statement, I'd ask if we could have Mr. Jacobs sworn, and we'll share his credentials with you.
Jacobs, if you raise your right hand, you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give this board is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please state and spell your name for the record.
Bruce Jacobs, Jacobs. I'm a licensed professional engineer and planner in the state of New Jersey. I received a bachelor's of civil engineering from Brigham Young University. And I'm licensed, I did say I was licensed as a planner and an engineer in the state. I'm the director of engineering for the firm Gravatt Consulting Group, where I've been a member of the firm for over 30 years. And I've testified in front of this board, as well as many others in Monmouth and Ocean County.
Mr. Chair, may I ask that you accept Bruce Jacobs as a professional engineer and a professional planner and allow him to so testify this evening?
Yes, we will.
Thank you. Mr. Jacobs, I think it would be very valuable if there was a screen up as you began your testimony. And the exhibit that I think is most appropriate would be the minor subdivision plan. And that is marked as A3. Mrs. Urbano, are you able to, or Mr. Jacobs?
I can, or Mr. Jacobs can, whatever you feel more comfortable with.
Why don't you open it up?
Hold on 1 minute.
Thank
then.
you.
Here you go. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Yes,
Yep.
thank you. So, Mr. Jacobs, if you could introduce this plan to the board, if you could identify the location of this property, and then if you could give us an executive overview of the subdivision before we go into the specifics of it.
Okay. The property is known as 417 West Farms Road. It's located on the south side of West Farms Road, approximately 400 feet west of Georgia Tavern Road, the intersection at that point. The site contains approximately 9.93 acres and is in the ARE2 agricultural rural estate zone, which requires a minimum lot size of 2 acres. The site is developed with a 1-story single-family dwelling, a 1-story dog kennel, and a dog run area that you can see that's in the center of the site. The surrounding area is developed as a residential neighborhood consisting of single-family dwellings, and they're located on West Farms Road, Georgia Tavern Road, and Lemon Road. And according to the DEP website, there are no freshwater wetlands on the site or within 200 feet of the site. The application tonight is a proposal to subdivide Lot 3 into 3 new lots, 1 lot for the existing dwelling and 2 new building lots, one of which will be a flag lot, which was designated as new lot 3.01. The new dwellings will conform to the zone's bulk setback requirements. It is proposed to demolish the kennel and associated dog runs. The fences that you see on the map, particularly the dog run fences and any of those fences that go on to either lot 3.01 or new lot 3.03, will either be removed or relocated prior to the sale of any lots. Any new development, dry wells will be provided for at the time of building permit, and the driveway for new lot 3.01 that's in the stem of the flag will be designed compliant with township requirements at the time of the building of a building permit.
I think that it'd be worth sharing with the board the Kelly's prior subdivision approval on for this property before we go into the particulars of this subdivision approval.
Okay. This property received an approval from the planning board in 2004 for a preliminary major subdivision. It was designed to be a 5-lot major subdivision with 650 foot of new road and a cul-de-sac and a drainage basin. So what the lots consisted of was 3 new building lots, 1 lot for the existing dwelling, and 1 lot for the drainage basin. but subsequently to the approval in 2004, the applicant elected not to perfect the subdivision plan.
The applicant had a commercial kennel business and I think got cold feet and decided, let's stay in business and postpone. But your applicant now has reached the stage of life where the business is being closed and they are looking to stay in their home and do a simpler subdivision to create residential uses around them. If you could describe, I indicated that there were variances in my opening, but if you could testify to those variances and identify on which lot each of them occurs.
Okay, do you want me to do variances and waivers or waivers first?
I'd like you to go right to the variances, please.
Okay, with regard to the variances, we're seeking for two variances. One is for lot area, that is the flag lot, new lot 3.01. The lot area variance is 6 acres is required. 5.23 plus or minus acres is proposed. That would be what we estimate after the dedication from 33 feet from the center line of West Farms Road. We're also seeking for a lot width variance on lot 3.02. 200 feet is required. And as stated earlier, the average lot width of the new lot would be about 180 feet. The width of the property to a depth of approximately 210 feet, which is about where the front of the kennel is 200 feet or wider. So the distance, the width of the lot between the kennel and the and West Farms Road is 200 feet or greater. And then it tapers obviously to the rear of the proposed lot. Hence the need for the a lot width variance.
Those are the only, is it an accurate statement? Those are the only variances that are identified on the plan?
Yes, there was comments about increasing the setbacks on the flag lot, which we will agree to do, so that there won't be any bulk variances required.
And is it your testimony that single-family residences, well, there is a single-family residence on the lot, proposed lot 3.02, but can a single-family residence be built on lots 303 and 3.01 without any further bulk variance relief?
Yes, they can.
I'm going to ask if you could then describe the waiver request that was part of this application.
Okay. We're seeking a waiver from section 188-132 and also an RSIS de minimis waiver from providing curbs and sidewalks along West Farms Road. As you're probably all aware, there are no curbs or sidewalks in the area. In my opinion, the installation of curbs and sidewalks would prohibit runoff that's from the roadway to infiltrate into the grassed area along the street, and it would take away from the rural look of the neighborhood. And there's a possibility that if you were to require curbs and sidewalks, that the road may need to be widened in this area. We have received an exemption letter from the Monmouth County Planning Board stating that they had no interest in the application and that no roadway improvements would be required.
So on that point, board members, we ask for that waiver if the board considers the application favorably, but we would defer to your professionals and to the board's final determination as to whether that waiver relief is appropriate. Mr. Jacobs, if you could take us through certain characteristics, physical characteristics of the property. And then after providing this description of the physical characteristics, I'm going to ask if you would take us through the variance proofs that are required for this board to favorably consider the relief requested.
Okay. As you can see, the property is irregularly shaped. There's approximately 9.93 acres. The property is not a true rectangle and is not perpendicular to the roadway. There's approximately 579 feet of frontage along West Farms Road, and the property is approximately 1,280 feet deep. The lot narrows to approximately 310 feet, about 400 to 450 feet back from the road, and then stays about that width to the to the rear of the property. The surrounding lots are primarily rectangular in shape and generally of a 2-acre size, but there are lots within the block 149 that range from 1.1 acres to roughly 4 acres. Adjacent lot 3, which is immediately to the top of the screen, is very deep. It's a similar depth to our property. It's 1,280 feet deep. Nearby lots 2, 2.01 and 2.03, which are further, I guess that would be in a northwesterly direction. They are irregular shaped and are about 550 to 700 feet deep. And the houses on those particular lots are set back off the road 400 to 500 feet. If you look at the overall scheme of block 149, there are no interior roadways or cul-de-sacs within that block. And at the southerly end of the site, which are there, you'll see, which is the bottom of the screen, there are 4 conforming lots that abut the property to the east, or I guess it's to the east, on the Georgia Tavern Road portion of this area. The lot is, again, the lot is oversized at 9.93 acres. So proposing 2 2-acre lots and 1 5.23 acre lot exceeds the 2-acre minimum required by the zone, but the 5.2 acre lot for the flag lot is slightly deficient to meet the flag lot requirements. So thinking back to the prior subdivision approval that allowed for 4 building lots and public roadway and drainage basin, it's our opinion that there'd be better planning and better improvements to not have to create a road, and that would lessen the financial burden or eliminate the financial burden for an additional road or drainage improvements as a result of this configuration of this 3-lot subdivision.
So I'm going to ask if you could describe, if you could take us through the planner's proofs. There's a positive criteria and a negative criteria. Please be certain to make reference to the Land Use Act purposes that are advanced by the relief request, and please provide an accounting of the master plan and how this proposed development is consistent with the Howell Township master plan.
Okay, we believe that the relief can be best characterized using the C2 criteria. From the positive criteria point of view, the purposes of the act that can be advanced are letter A, an appropriate use and development of the lands in a manner which would be appropriate, which will promote the general welfare of the area. In reviewing the 2019 master plan re-examination report, looking at the comprehensive goals, letter A, maintain the consistency with the purpose of the municipal land use law, and the second, by providing a balanced land use pattern. The examination report states that most of the residential development in the township has been in the ARE zones of the town. The proposed 3-lot subdivision does not significantly alter the character of the township and is designed to preserve the rural character of this area. We also believe that it complies with the comprehensive objectives of the master plan to encourage the revitalization of underutilized properties. The proposed lots in the subdivision are more consistently sized with the neighborhood. For example, new lot 3.01, which is the new flag lot. The flag lot requirements are 6 acres and we're providing 5.23 acres. If you look at the surrounding lots or the large lots that are within block 149, our proposed new lot 3.01 will be larger than any of those. For example, lot 2 is 3.94 acres. Lot 2.01 is 4.04 acres. Lot 2.02 is 3.01 acres. Lot 5 is 4.8 acres and lot 9 is 3.94
Mr. Jacobs,
acres.
if I could just jump in, how many of these lots that you're describing are flag lots?
None of them are flag lots, but some of them are irregularly shaped lots.
Okay, so how many flag lots exist in the area?
None.
So this would be the only one,
This will be the only one,
and it's
But-
not conforming.
and it's not conforming, yes. But
And
it's,
so exactly how do you reconcile that this promotes the general welfare?
what I was looking at is I was looking at the size of the other lots that are in the area that are large.
But you could have 2 large conforming lots without the
That is-
flag lot, right?
That is true, but what we're trying to do is satisfy the, revitalize the area and.
How are you
get-
revitalizing it? You're not even proposing development. You're proposing a subdivision.
We're proposing a subdivision, that is true. But we're trying to utilize the lot to the best of our ability to get the greatest yield, I guess is the best way to put it.
But you could create 2 conforming lots and not require relief at all, correct?
That is correct.
And those lots, apparently considering what you just described, would be consistent with all these oversized lots in the area, but yet not flag lots, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Jacobs, are you prepared to continue?
Yes. What I was trying to demonstrate with this flag lot, though, is that the houses on 3 of the lots in the neighborhood, because of their irregular shape, their houses are set back 400 or 500 feet. And the lot on new lot, or the house or development of the house on lot 3.01 would be set back of a similar distance and would be consistent with some of the development patterns within the neighborhood.
But if you had 2 conforming lots, you could certainly set the lot on new lot 3.03 back 500 feet, exactly the way you said, on a conforming lot, correct?
That's true too.
Okay.
Mr. Jacobs, could you address the width of lot 3.02?
Okay, with regard to the width, we believe that there would be adequate provisions for light, air, and open space because the existing house on lot 3.02 would be conforming to all the setbacks. As we said, the house is already developed and the owner will continue living in that house. So we believe that there's adequate width in the developed portion of the site where the house is already developed and exists. And so it would be similar to that of the neighborhood.
Again, I'm just going to jump in. If you did 2 lots, this lot would have adequate width, correct?
That's true too.
Okay, thank you.
We believe that with the 3-lot subdivision, it would still promote the appropriate density of the area. And we'd have 2-acre lots, and we believe that, well, it would be concise consistently with the neighborhood, and no need for any density variances. We believe that we could promote the desirable visual environment through creative development techniques. One of the things that we were looking at was that by creating the 3 lots, there would be no need for a road or a drainage basin, and then that would be consistent with the development of the neighborhood.
But again, that would be the same argument if it was 2 lots, correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
And if I would ask if you could just, I think that the negative criteria elements have to be placed on the record before we conclude.
Okay, regarding to the negative, again, the buildings would be aesthetically pleasing. They would comply with all setback requirements. The drainage patterns would remain the same. Off-street parking would be provided. Any future dwellings would fit into the neighborhood. And again, we're maintaining the rural character of the area. There's no wetlands on the site, and obviously any future developments would be subject to zoning and building requirements. So consequently, we believe that it would not impact the intent and purpose of the zone plan if the board should grant these variances.
Mr. Jacobs, does that conclude your testimony?
With regard to that stuff, yes, unless you want to go into the engineer's letter.
I think that you've gone through most of what's in the engineer's letter when you indicated that the dry wells will be addressed. You pointed out that the 33 feet right of way will be accommodated. The applicants intend to continue to live on the property. There's no intention to raise the building from the property. And all of the non-conforming fences will be removed or relocated so that there are no non-conformities. I would ask Ms. Newman if there's anything further that she wishes to hear from you as to her report.
Thanks, Ken. We have very brief comments in item 7 in our report, which are technical in nature. I would just ask that Mr. Jacobs agrees to comply with those.
Yes, I do.
I have nothing further.
Then does that conclude your testimony, Mr. Jacobs?
Yes.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Chair, I have one further question before I, give my professional opinion. Mr. Jacobs, what public benefit are you providing by adding this additional lot, which creates a non-conforming condition for 2 of the 3 lots that you're creating? What's the public benefit?
The public benefit would be that the lots would be more in consistent size of what the zone requests.
But you already testified that there are no flag lots in the area at all, and that there are oversized lots. There are a significant number of oversized lots in the area. So what's the public benefit of creating 2 non-conforming lots to create a 3-lot subdivision as opposed to a conforming 2-lot subdivision?
When phrased that way, there isn't very many.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I just have a couple questions. Mr. Jacobs, at one point, I think you testified that the subdivision would help to address needed revitalization in the area. What characteristics in the area do you feel are in need of revitalization?
I was mainly referring, although I said that because it was in the master plan scenario, I was referring to lots being I'm looking for the right words. I was looking at underutilized properties, being that we had an excessively large lot compared to the zone requirements of 2 acres, being that it was 9 acres. And that's what I was referring to, or and meaning to state was the utilization of the lot.
So a lot that does not, and I'm just, for purposes of the resolution, whichever way the board goes, a lot that's beyond what the very minimum requirements are is being underutilized.
If this was on a rectangular piece of property, you could have probably gotten 3 or 4 lots out of it. And in the past, the board granted approval for 4 lots. And so we were looking at that if you avoided having to put in a road and the public improvements associated therewith and the maintenance of it, that you could benefit the community by still having 3 lots without having all the additional improvements.
Okay, so you talked about the 2004 approval. The vested rights on that approval at the local level, at least, have since expired. At the state level, they never changed the time of decision rule. It's still the time of decision rule, not time of application rule. And you hadn't built anything. With the new stormwater management regulations that would be applied to this site, would you be able to build or would you be able to still develop the site in conformance with what you were approved for in 2004 while complying with the stormwater regulations that exist right now?
You could use some creativity in that. You could look at the road design and change it to porous pavement and still have the utilization of the basin. So there's aspects that would be allowed under the new stormwater guidelines.
So that's a yes, you could still
That's
build it?
Yes, you could.
Laura, I know that's not before you, but I mean, is that something that is even sort of capable of being opined on at this time?
Well, my sense is to say we're going to use porous pavement in a public street. I don't think it works. It's certainly something we've never seen. I know there are requirements for green infrastructure. But no, I don't think it's as easy to say that this could easily comply in the essence would be prior approval with the current regulations.
So then I just question, that this is better than the 2004 approval, because I'm just not certain that the 2004 approval is even viable anymore. And I understand the creativity argument. I can tell you on my own behalf, it never worked with my parents or my teachers, but that's where we are on that. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Pape, anything else at this point?
I do not have any further witnesses to present to you after the public is open and the examination by the public, if there's any, concludes. Before the board reaches a conclusion this evening, I would like the opportunity to take a 5-minute recess so that I can contact my clients by phone, and then finally to sum. But at this point, I have no further direct, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, if it's okay with you, I'd like to open it up to members of the board and to our professionals with any further comments. So if anybody has any questions for Mr. Pape or Mr. Jacobs, please feel free.
No, I mean, Mr. Chair, I just want to, again, echo what Ms. Beam said, as far as where is the public benefit of granting the variance, where she's already said clearly, you can accomplish what you need to accomplish with 2 conforming lots instead of 2 non-conforming lots. I haven't heard the public benefit of it.
Anyone else?
I guess there's none. Yeah.
Well,
All right.
Mr. Chair, my question was, we keep saying, well, doing it this way with the flag lot, we're avoiding the road. But in the reality is you're still gonna have to put on a substantially large paved driveway, I would imagine, to go from the front of that lot to where the house would be. So what's the impact on drainage gonna be, or the necessity of the street when that goes in?
I think, Mr. Seaman, that the point that Mr. Jacobs was making is when a road is built and when a storm water basin is built, the ultimate responsibility after it's built and is with the township, and the maintenance responsibilities for both of those become vested with the township. And if the lands could be developed without those improvements, then the long-term responsibilities that the township would have had are alleviated.
Fair, but that doesn't necessarily change the increased impervious coverage and runoff.
Now, the impervious, but what Mr. Jacobs had indicated was that the stormwater management system would be on a lot-by-lot basis and would be part of the building permit application. That was his testimony.
I realize you're going to confer with the Kellys on this, Mr. Pape. So I may have some other question other than the comment that I am about to make. I do have a concern that after Ms. Beam has brought to our attention that this project can go forward in another fashion. That is a concern of mine. And I would hope that it's not a financial aspect that's being considered by the applicant as part of the rationale. Because as you know, that's not something that we could consider. So I'll be interested in your 5-minute recess with your clients.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ron, do you think we should let Mr. Pape and his clients go to a recess, or?
Well, I think Mr.
Public-
Pape had an interest in hearing the public
Yes,
before they
Got it.
did that. I think that's a reasonable request.
thank you.
Sure. So Eileen, I guess we'll open it up to the public for a couple minutes. I see we have 8 attendees in the wing.
At this time, the chairman has opened the hearing up for members of the public. Anyone wishing to ask questions or comment on this application, please use the raise your hand feature. I'll bring you in one at a time. You will need audio and video. You will be sworn in and required to give your name and address. If you're calling in, please use *9 to raise or lower your hand and *6 to mute or unmute yourself. Thank you.
I'm not seeing anybody, Eileen.
No, no one has raised their hand.
Okay,
Oh,
Oh.
I have one now. Hold on.
there we go.
Rob, can you unmute yourself?
Not going.
You're
Hello?
all right. We can hear you.
Okay. My name is Robert Ortenzi. I live at
Okay, Mr.
180.
Artenzi, just before you get started, I just need to swear you in. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give this board is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state and spell your name and give us your address.
Robert Ortenzi, RobertOrtenzi, 180 Georgia Tavern Road. I think I'm lot 402.
Okay, go
4.0.
ahead, sir.
I'm concerned about that driveway, that paved driveway, because the way it's graded, it's all gonna come down to my property and other people's property. Matter of fact, the names on their sheet is wrong. It's switched.
I'm sorry, what do you mean the names are switched?
On the lots, they just got my neighbor on, next door to me. He's on my property, I'm on his. It's just different names are on a different lot. Yeah, I'm concerned about the drainage from that driveway. That's a long driveway. I don't know if you hear me.
Yes.
No,
we can hear-
we hear you. Do you have any other concerns or questions?
No, that's my main concern.
Okay. Mr. Pape, it was a concern, not a question. If you guys would like to respond, you can. Certainly no obligation.
I'll pass.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Ortenzi, we have your concern. Everyone will take that into account.
Yeah, I'd like to know where the runoff is gonna go.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
If there's
Eileen,
anyone
I-
else wishing to ask questions, please use the raise your hand feature before the chairman closes the public portion.
Seems like we got one more, Eileen.
You need to use *6 to mute or unmute yourself, please.
Hello,
Hello.
yes, my name is Linda Price,
I just need to
397.
swear- I just need to swear you in first. You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give this board is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
And just state and spell
I-
your name and give us your address.
Linda Price, Linda Price, 397 West Farms Road, Farmingdale, New Jersey. So I just wanted to know if the driveway meets the requirements for emergency vehicles.
The statements made by Mr. Jacobs are that the driveway will be designed to be fully compliant with the township's ordinances. And amongst the township's requirements are to design for an emergency vehicle to enter and to have a turnaround driveway for it to exit. So the answer is yes.
So Ken, when you say that, are you talking just an ambulance or are you talking a fire truck?
No fire truck.
Okay.
Have to get. the
Yeah,
fire-
that's what I was wondering about.
We
And it
anticipate
will
that-
be a paved, it's also will be a paved driveway?
Not necessarily a paved driveway. There's a requirement of a paved apron. The balance could be stone. And then there has to be a turnaround facility adequate for a fire truck to turn around. Typically, it's an 18-foot wide driveway.
Mhm. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public?
I don't see anyone else.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to chime in because that
Well,
statement.
Laura, just before you do that, let's close out the public.
Sure.
Yeah, we can close the public portion.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just a little delayed. I just want to note if the driveway exceeds 150 feet in length, our ordinance does in fact require it to be paved. It has to be designed to accommodate vehicles that are 28,000 pounds. That's what our ordinance states. I know the representation was that they would comply. I just wanted to clarify, because I think I heard only the apron needed to be paved, but if the driveway is over 150 feet, which I believe for the flag lot it would have to be paved.
Ms. Newman, I actually went into the ordinance today and I thought I had found all of the requirements. I didn't see the portion about the 150 feet in length. I did see the requirements on apron. I did see the 18 feet, and I did see that you needed to have the fire truck turnaround, but we stand corrected. So it would be a paved driveway.
Okay, Mr. Pape, do you want to take your 5-minute recess?
I do. I will reach out to my clients and I'll be back quickly. Thank you.
Yeah, let's call it 8:10. Gives you 7 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
The board will now take a recess. They'll be back at 8:10. Thank you.
Thank you.
Eileen, we're ready to go.
The board will now reconvene. I think we're just missing Paul Bavai. Here we go.
Okay, Mr. Pape.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members, board professionals. I did have an opportunity to talk with Mrs. Kelly. And it is the request of the Kellys that they be permitted to adjourn this application. They intend to redesign it to a 2-lot subdivision. The manner in which the 2 lots will be created is something that we'll have to explore with Bruce. We could have a revised plan back in front of you in approximately 4 weeks, and I would ask if we could be carried, if the board would retain jurisdiction of the application as a minor subdivision and carry it to a hearing date a little bit more than a month from now.
What's the second date in March, Eileen?
March 17th. The first one is March 3rd. The second one's March 17th.
Okay, I would recommend the 17th. Is that okay for your team, Mr. Pape?
Mr. Jacobs, are you capable of, the board's professionals will need it for 10 days at a minimum. So can you have your plans in before March 7th?
We should be able to have it in by March 7th.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Co-Chair, the answer is yes.
Okay, so then the application. Hold on 1 moment.
Mr. Pape, I'll also need an extension of time, please.
On the record, granted through the end of March, and I'll follow it up tomorrow with a letter.
Thank you so much.
The application of John Kelly, case number SD-3000, be carried to the board's March 17, 2022 meeting. That meeting will begin at 7 o'clock and is a virtual meeting. The documents associated with the application are on file. The new plans will be on file at least 10 days prior and will be available on the township's website for inspection and printing out. The instructions on how to access the meeting will also be available on the township's website at least 10 days prior. There will be no further notice to property owners. So to be clear, if you received a notice for tonight's meeting, you're not going to receive another one for the March 17th meeting. This is your notice, March 17th, 7 o'clock. It's a virtual meeting. Okay, Mr. Chairman.
Very good.
Mr. Chairman, board members, board professionals,
you.
thank you all and good night.
Aye.
Good night, Mr. Pape.
Thank you.
Moving on, Paul, any master plan update?
Yeah, we did get an email. Jen, you wanna just,
Sure. The draft land use element was sent out to the subcommittee for review before it gets submitted to the entirety of the board. And the counters for the circulation element were placed on the roads either between yesterday and today. So that has begun and the counts will go on. They're the tubes, so it'd be a 24-hour count for 7 days, and then they'll give me the information. So that is coming behind the land use element in short order. So we're going to be ready to go for a public hearing probably end of March.
Do we have a list of the roads that they were put on?
Yes. I have them. I can send them. So there was a list of road, we did the survey that was presented on the website. The public opined on the road, the intersections. We had a meeting with the subcommittee as well as members of the township in terms of Joe Clark and Matt Howard. There were 11, initially the proposal was for 10 roads. We actually selected 11 roads, which was fine. I did 11 roads, not a big deal, with the option of adding additional 5 roads should the council authorize the additional 5 roads. I have the list. I can easily send it out, but it was vetted out through not only the survey, but then a meeting between myself and township professionals, and then the meeting of the subcommittee. So I can easily send that out to you if you'd like to see it. I can guarantee you any road that you're thinking is on the list, because it was pretty, like, it went from like, you know, we got like 700 and something responses to the survey, and like the top 10 was like, you know, 700 responses, and then like the balance was like 1, 2. So I can almost guarantee you. And I did discount, in fairness, I will say, if the road's not under our jurisdiction, it doesn't really matter what we say. So if it was a DOT regulated road or a county regulated road, we're not going to count it because we have no control over it. So we did discount like those that are not under our jurisdiction, but I have lists. I can easily get that out. It's not a problem.
Cool, thanks, Jen.
Thank you.
Ron, is there any reason to go into executive session?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All right, thanks, everybody. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Good night. Thank you.